And tell us about this lovely family that we're looking at right here on this page.
Oh, that was a long time ago. About 1987, when my wife Linda there started doing medical billing, and that's my son Adam, who's now the president of the company, and Sarah, who's also still working with the company. They grew up in the company. It's a family business, and we're one of the few families that can work together and not kill each other.
Of course.
That's a
Well,
good thing.
I kind of flipped a minute ago and said that you were the co-founder. Maybe you really want to talk about the real founder.
Well, that's because Linda back then started doing medical billing for a local, company here locally that was billing Medicare for, medical equipment. And she didn't know anything about medical billing. When the guy called her in, he had to set her down and actually show her step by step how to do it. But within a couple of days, I mean, she was doing medical billing. It's not brain surgery, Eric.
Right. Of course.
But, yeah, so we started that in '87, and then by '94 we had developed training and marketing tools to help other people duplicate our success. And now, as it says, we're the nation's largest network of medical revenue managers that are out there. So we're pretty proud of what we've done here in the last 22 years.
Yeah, and it's good. It's also proud to be a part of a company that's like this. And folks, I mean, if you're really looking to be part of a good company, obviously I'm a little biased here, but I'd say ABS is the company that you want to look into. I'm going to look at one of the questions that came in. John, you're asking if you can't stay on the webinar for the full hour, can you get a copy of this? Absolutely, folks. If you would like to, we are recording the webinar right now, so we'll have that ready in the next couple of days. And once you get the copy, you can also send this to a business partner that you may be working with, maybe even someone that's going to be backing you financially. Obviously, you can be able to send them a copy of this. So, John, yes, you can see this a little bit later.
Yeah, and Eric, we have the handout already in the handout bucket there.
We certainly do. So, John, if you want to look down in that little handout area, we already have a PDF of the entire slideshow, but if you want to hear what we're talking about, obviously you can listen to that a little bit later. Patrick, I know that we'd like to actually invite people to come to our corporate office here. Why don't you tell them what they can expect if they come by and visit with us?
Well, we have rooms with chairs and desks and computers. Oh, and we have people here too. Yeah.
We have people here. Yeah.
So we'll introduce you to our staff. We'll take you into our conference room. We'll sit and visit with you, answer any questions that you want to ask us in person. We encourage people to do this, and yet, Eric, I bet we have maybe 1 out of 100 that actually takes the time to fly down here. We'll even pick you up at the airport. Just fly into DFW. Let us know you're coming ahead of time, of course. We'll prepare everything and make sure that you are picked up at the airport and brought back, unless you have a car. And yeah, we'll just sit and answer any questions you want. We don't close you. We don't get trying to close you, because folks, we don't want you in our business if this is not right and a good fit. And the only way you know that sometimes is just to look somebody in the eyeball and say, if this is the person I'm going to do business with, I want to meet you and shake your hand and ask you some questions in person. And you're certainly welcome to do that. Not everybody does it, obviously, but you're welcome to do that. Just let us know.
Yeah, absolutely. We'd love to have you come here and visit with us. Also, let's talk really quickly about the webinar. Patrick and I will be talking a lot here. We kind of know some of the questions that a lot of people have, but you're on the webinar today. So take full advantage of the opportunity of talking with Patrick and me this afternoon, and we'll be watching and monitoring the question box. So if we get to a spot here that you want to get a little bit more further information on, please feel free to type us in a question there, and we'll do what we can to answer that question. Patrick, let's get started here. I know that we always like to talk about articles that are out there, and this one was actually at the beginning of the year, and a lot of people do ask, Patrick, what about why would a doctor want to outsource their billing? That's a great question, because a lot of people do know that doctors are already doing their billing, and why would they want to outsource this? Why wouldn't they just want to keep that billing in-house?
Wow, that is a great question. At first, I even wondered that because my wife started out with that one client, and then we wanted to add clients, and I thought, well, Aren't all doctors doing their own billing? They have the ability to do that. At the time, of course, it was still on paper. They were using typewriters. Remember those, don't you?
Yeah.
And that's what Linda used, of course. But then, of course, it moved electronic, and I thought at some point all doctors will be able to have the software on their own computer and send the claims, have them filed directly themselves. But Eric, it's just incredible how much that costs inside of a doctor's office. And as you know, we have a way of showing the doctor what their real cost is. If you ask a doctor, Eric, what it costs to outsource, they'd probably tell you, it's all a little bitty $2 or $3 per claim is all. But as you just underlined there from this article, it's not unusual to have a 35% or higher claim rejection rate.
Yeah.
Even electronically. This is a recent article back in January of this year. And by the way, this is by the past president of this organization, the Healthcare Billing and Management Association, which is a big nationwide organization in and of itself. So the great thing is, Eric, that we've summarized all that in a document. I think that doesn't show up here until a couple of slides later, but I'll show everybody that we've got a document that I can drop in the handouts today, and you can also open that up and take a look at that one. It'll summarize all those reasons why doctors should be outsourcing.
Well, the reason I've kind of stayed on this, because one of the things I want to let everybody on the call know today, and those that will be listening a little bit later, one of the benefits of being with American Business Systems is that we actually do the demonstration of the software for you, for your doctors. And Patrick, if you don't mind, I'd like to share, I was actually doing one of those yesterday. You remember I mentioned that to you. I'm going to put the number up here of what this doctor told me that their current rejection rate. Now, put that number up there. Patrick, explain to everybody what we're talking about here when we're talking about a rejection rate.
Okay, so when you file a claim electronically, you're through your software forwarding the claim to what's called a clearinghouse. Now, we'll talk about that a little bit more, but that's a third-party entity that is set up to take the claims, scrub them clean, making sure that there's nothing missing, and then they reformat it and forward it to each one of the insurance companies that the doctor is billing. So that rejection rate comes from, a lot of it's just human error, Eric, and
right.
A lot of it is that people are using software that doesn't do the proper scrubbing before it sends the claim to the clearinghouse, unlike ours. So our rejection rate in our system, because it's cloud-based and because we own our clearinghouse, is less than, are you ready for this? Ours is less than 2%, folks. So think about that compared to the 35% there that's mentioned in the article. That's the standard out there. So what that means for a doctor, of course, is a whole lot more money coming in.
Of course, and like I did a demo for a doctor yesterday. Drum roll, please. Here was their rejection rate that they're currently dealing with right now.
Are you kidding? 57%?
Yes.
Wow.
57%.
He needs us bad, doesn't he?
Very, very bad. And so, for people always ask, well, how are you going to help me get a doctor? Well, folks, it's pretty easy whenever we're able to show those kind of numbers and doing a demonstration of that. And that was just of yesterday. So, folks, a lot of people do have that question in their head, why would a doctor ever want to use me? This is another good quote here before we kind of jump into the meat of the information. And this is something that, folks, you can go look up. It's called Black Book Rankings. And this is a third-party deal where they do all their market research. And, Patrick, I know you like to talk about this one right here.
Well, look at this, Eric. I'm amazed that this is almost half of all the doctors out there that have billing staff already. In other words, they're doing it themselves in their own office. Hope outsource their billing in the next 12 months. Now, you talk about a window of opportunity, Eric. In this next year, a snapshot of a year, our licensees have got a huge, wide open market. Doctors are desperate to get this out of the office and let them focus on what their core competency is, which, of course, is seeing patients.
And if anybody needs any other convincing, I mean, the New England Journal of Medicine, well, that's been around forever. Look at the number here.
24 cents out of every dollar, they're saying, is wasted on the administrative and billing expenses. Now, that's not all just billing, of course, but the administrative part, a lot of it has to do with dealing with the insurance companies and with Medicare, and dealing with the patients who haven't paid and so forth. And Eric, think about that. 24 cents is, well, 24% of the revenue of that doctor's office.
Right.
We, through our licensees, we can teach our licensees to do this billing for doctors for, 6 to 7%. And
right.
What a savings for a doctor there. So why would they keep it in their own office? A lot of it has to do with the fact that the doctors just don't trust, somebody. They don't think that you have the ability to cut that way down like we can.
Right, and then if you combine that with that 57% of claims that were being rejected, it compounds itself. So, folks, let this kind of sink in. We're just trying to give you information that's not from American Business Systems. As a matter of fact, you're going to see another one here, actually from a doctor here, that says something pretty close to the same thing.
Yeah, I'll let you pronounce his last name there, Eric. But this doctor was actually quoted in U.S. News and World Report magazine, and he said in there that to get paid by the insurance company, I have to pay about $20 in administrative fees to collect it. Between the person that bills, the computer system, the ongoing support, and he probably included updates and all that. It costs about $20 a claim, folks, for the doctor to do it in his own office. If we can do it for 6 to 7% and an average claim is, say, $100, that's only $6 or $7 that you're charging the doctor. So it's great money for you. Most of our licensees say that they're making, on average $70 to $90 an hour doing this work from their home. And the doctor is saving a tremendous amount of money. Eric, if you could sell popsicles in the Sahara Desert, it wouldn't be any easier than this.
Right. Excuse me. Well, Bashar, I'm going to answer your question here, and he's saying, Patrick, from an IT standpoint, he's asking how often do we create new versions of the application, and when was the last version deployed? Well, let's talk about it like this, Bashar. There are two types of systems out there: systems that are server-based, and then there are web-based systems. Ours is a web-based system. So and there's a whole team of a complete IT division that's over 100 people that are constantly doing any updates along with that. So sometimes it's weekly when there are new versions of it. So from a standpoint, from an IT position, you really never have to worry about whether the system's up to date or not. We'll kind of get into a little bit more about that too as well.
Explain that to people. The difference, folks, is this. Here, I got something I'll illustrate it here since you can see the webcam. Here's a CD. This is how most software comes, right? You put it in this little drawer that looks like a coffee holder, and you install this onto your computer. So when updates come out, you either have to download them or they send you a new CD, and you're updating that constantly. With ours, since we're updating it behind the scenes on our servers, when you log in through any internet browser, just like you're watching this webinar today, you're using the latest version. So we might have updated it last night. Bashar, I don't honestly know when the latest update was, because every time you log in, you're using the most current version with any changes and updates and bug fixes and all that. Automatic. No downloading, installing, none of that.
Yeah, nothing to deal with that. Patrick, this is something new that you were able to get taken care of. You want to explain this as we keep going through the webinar today?
Yeah, we just basically took, I think there's about 13 reasons why doctors should be outsourcing their medical billing, and we had a graphic artist design this for us. And Eric, I've got it right here. I'm going to drop it right now in the handouts. So folks, it's uploading, and it's done. It's out there now. You can go download this right now and open it up on your computer if you want to, and just take a look at it in more detail. It's a great way to, when people ask you, well, why would a doctor want to outsource their billing? Why wouldn't they do it themselves? Here it is right here. We summarized it for you in this one graphic.
All right, so let's go ahead and keep going and get into the meat of everything. First of all, let's talk about people ask about being certified. I mean, people ask about, do I need to go to school and become a certified biller? Do I need to go to school and become a certified coder? You're head of on the board of the American Medical Revenue Managers Association anyway. What does all that mean, Patrick?
Well, all that means is that as the chairman of the Medical Revenue Management Association of America, we have established a certification for people who come through our training. So Eric, they actually get a very nice certificate at the end of the week that shows that they are certified as a medical revenue manager, a CRMRM, Certified Medical Revenue Manager. Now, folks, that's something that is recognized in the industry as much as any other certification that's out there. There is no official government licensing or standard certification for medical billers. But that's why we don't call our licensees medical billers. They are far more than that. They're managing the entire revenue cycle that you see illustrated there on the screen. Every aspect of the doctor's revenue you're taught to handle, and you go in as a professional certified medical revenue manager to handle that revenue cycle. Here's even a better illustration of that coming up here. So we not only illustrate here that the claims preparation is what you're trained to handle, but the claims submission, and that includes all of the things behind the scenes that make sure that that does not get rejected. The claims management, which includes, of course, once the payment comes in, posting that in the system, and then even the reporting that you can provide to the doctor. Oh,
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's okay. I had a little bit of glitch there on my bandwidth, but I got it all back up here for us. So revenue cycle management is all these parts of it right here, as Patrick just mentioned to you right here. And it's all done by utilizing, like we had mentioned earlier, Patrick, our award-winning, medical billing and electronic medical records billing platform.
I feel completely lost here because we're not looking at the slide that you. Now we are. There you go. And we've lost you on the video, so I'm alone. I'm just by myself here, floating, a floating head. Right.
That's okay. We had a little bit of bandwidth on my end, so I went ahead and just cut off my webcam for just a little bit.
Okay. Well, I don't need mine on it. We're talking. We're fine. They can hear us. They don't need to see our face. Okay, so Eric, this is a great illustration because, as you can see, folks, it's showing the two visions of how you can look at our system. One is on just a computer monitor, any computer, by the way, PC, Windows-based, Mac, Unix. I guess you could run this on anything that has an internet browser. And then, as you can see, Eric has illustrated this with the iPad. Folks, this is native to the iPad, and the doctors love this when they see it on the iPad.
So that coupled with all of the different services. Now, obviously, we're not going to be able to get into all the different services this afternoon, the Audit Guard, the CodeWrite, iDocs Now, the Physician's Toolbox, Quick Collect, Choice Pay, or AutoCard. We're really going to kind of focus in on just a little bit more on the iClaim and the EMRX platforms because this is really, again, where the rubber meets the road. This is where we can help generate more income for the doctor by utilizing this particular platform. But as we get going here, Patrick, I know a lot of people ask about our business opportunity, and a lot of people ask us, well, what are your ongoing franchise fees? Are there any franchise fees, and what does this whole everything mean about no franchise fees is what we're talking about here?
Well, a franchise, once you've purchased and paid the franchise fee, similar to our licensing fee, but most of them are a whole lot more than our $25,000 fee. But when you open up a sandwich shop, for example, you're paying your $75,000 franchise fee, and then the building, construction, and so forth. And then every single month, they take right off the top of your gross revenue a percentage, and sometimes that's 8, 9, 10%, plus an advertising fee to go into the pool for national advertising. So, folks, you can spend thousands of dollars on these fees forever when you purchase a franchise. With ABS, once you've paid our lifetime licensing fee of $25,000, that's it. You never pay another penny for anything. I'm talking about updates to the software, support, ongoing training, live demos. We will not nickel and dime you to death. There is nothing you ever pay directly to American Business Systems after that fee has been paid and you've gone through our training workshop.
Yeah. So when you're processing your claims and you're doing everything that you need to do for the doctor, there you go. that money's yours. You don't have to be going spreading that around with us here at ABS.
That's right. If you bill the doctor and collect for that doctor, let's say $100,000 a month, which is pretty typical, and you're charging 6%, that's $6,000. That $6,000 is yours. You don't send that to ABS.
Okay, another question that does come up pretty frequently, Patrick, and that is about territories. Let's kind of talk about territories, because I know that I've talked to a lot of folks, and so has the rest of the team here. We've all talked to folks, and the question comes up, well, are there any other ABS licensees in my area? And we kind of know what they're asking. Will I have any direct competition, or are there any territory restrictions? Have you kind of tapped out a particular zip code or anything? So you want to talk about a little bit more about the territory restrictions?
Well, again, with most franchises, they are going to give you a territory, meaning they'll take a protractor and put it on a map and draw a circle around you and say, within these 5 miles, you can't go outside this. Folks, that would limit you greatly, because we have licensees that literally have clients all over the United States. So, Eric, show them our territorial restrictions.
There you go.
There you go. It's the entire United States, including Hawaii and Alaska. And so, folks, that's great, because let's say you sign up a doctor that you live in Florida. You sign up a doctor, and that doctor knows another doctor in New York or California. You wouldn't want to be restricted to where you couldn't sign up that doctor, because a lot of your business, a big portion, will come from you making one doctor happy and that doctor telling another doctor.
You're right.
Yeah.
And that's what's great, because let's say that you live in, I don't know, Tampa, Florida, and there are maybe some other licensees in that particular area. Patrick, we know of licensees that are in Tampa, Florida, but their doctors are not in Tampa, Florida. They're in, Kalamazoo, or they're in New Jersey, or they're in Los Angeles. It's because of what Patrick just said, because they may have gotten 1 or 2 doctors out of that area. But folks, doctors have friends. They all went to school with doctors, and so one of the things that I think you've got in that book, or at least we've heard from Dr. Rackner, the co-author of the book that you have written, that doctors like to talk with other doctors, and obviously they're gonna trust their own colleagues much better than anybody else. So why not let those doctors become your referrals?
Yeah, those are your best ways to grow your business. In fact, Eric, we've had licensees tell us that once they've gone through our workshop here in Dallas, our week-long workshop that we hold here, they went out and did what we taught them to do in that week, to go out and find their first client, and then that's it. They did not have to do any further marketing, because again, we'll teach you how to make that doctor thrilled with what you've done with him or her, and they know other doctors, and they will share the good news that they have finally found somebody who can stay on top of their revenue and help them collect the money that they've earned.
Yes, exactly. Now let's keep going on. I know there's a couple of more questions that we kind of get as a more frequent type questions, and that's about ongoing and update fees. I say, obviously we say no ongoing and update fees, but let's talk about the iClaim and EMRX platform, because it's kind of based upon what Bashar was asking just a moment ago. But let's talk about the fees of the maybe any ongoing updates or fees that might go into iClaim or EMRX.
Well, when we say there are no fees, folks, we mean that literally, that the fees that that you might worry about with other companies, we're not going to give you any we don't have any hidden costs. Now, there are access fees for each doctor that you sign up to get on our system. That's normal. And that's covered by the doctor, not you. You'll cover that with the percentage that you charge the doctor, or you'll charge separate fees to the doctor. They're not high fees, but they are ongoing fees for the doctor, and they would do that had they, if they bought their own software or they subscribed to their own software system, they would have those fees. So they cover those fees. So that means all the money that you bill them for the money you collect for them, that's your money. And there's no fees to ABS. No update fees, no new codes that come out on a regular basis. Folks, you need to ask any other company that you're thinking about getting into this business with, what are the ongoing fees?
Right.
They have support fees each year. They have new user fees. They have updates to the software fees. They have new code download fees. It goes on and on with some companies. Again, since ours is cloud-based, we don't have to have any of that.
And it's good because of all the different specialties that could be for your potential market. And Patrick, I know all of this looks a little small here, but this is not even the half of the potential market that you could actually serve.
Yeah, here's what you need to do, folks. Go out to Google, your friend Google, and type in medical specialties. And you'll get a list similar to this one here. These are all the different types of doctors that specialize in all kinds of different things that you will be able to do the billing for. That's how big your market is. We even have a tool on our website that will let you do that, that lets you find a doctor, the doctors in your area by specialties. So it's just a huge market, folks. There's 1 million medical providers in the United States. You don't even need, as you'll see here in a moment, but a handful of those to make a great income. Hey, Eric, can I just address a question that came here from Karen? Good question.
Yeah.
It kind of ties in with what we're saying here. Approximately,
exactly.
how long does a licensee to break even? Now, Karen, that depends on whether you're focusing on this business full time, or maybe this is just a part-time business for you. We'll show you how to build it outside the regular business hours that you might have a job, so you can build it. It'll just be slower. But we have had licensees. You remember the young lady? She's a single mom, Eric, out in California with a young girl. Can't remember her name off the top of my head. But one of our licensees says she got her return on investment, her ROI, in 6 months. So for others, it might be a year. Maybe it takes you 2 years. Some businesses don't break even in the United States for 2 years. That's the average. But for us, Karen, it can be a very short period of time, depending on how much time you have and what types of doctors you sign up.
Well, I'm glad you brought that question up, because it kind of leads into what we're going to be talking about next, and that's really what is the potential earnings. I know that we get asked this question fairly frequently, and obviously, as you're looking for, a best business opportunity anywhere, I mean, you obviously want to know, well, what kind of money can be made here, and so, and this is, I think, is going to kind of go with Bashar's question here. What's the average sales cycle, and we'll kind of talk about that here, but let's talk about the potential earnings here, because obviously everybody wants to know how much money they can make on doing this. And you'll see, folks, we're not going to blow up the numbers at all. This is just as straightforward as we can make it. As Patrick mentioned a minute ago, you could literally go to our website, and where it says income potential right there, there's some other drop-down menus, and I'm going to see if I can grab my little part of pin right here. You can see this is what Patrick was just talking about there. You can find doctors in your area. So you could, when you go to income potential right there, once you click on that, it will have this drop down, this window here, and you can drop down in these areas here. But that's not really what we're going to talk about here. We're actually going to talk about, again, how much can I make as doing a medical billing. So, folks, we're going to just go this pretty systematically. And, Patrick, I know that feel free to kind of jump on in here at any time, but, we want to look at, how many doctors would you like to do billing for? Obviously, we're just going to do with one doctor. So we've got one doctor put in there. And you can put any number that you want in there, 2, 3, 4. It really doesn't matter. It'll calculate it out correctly for you.
Eric, let me jump in there and say this. We're using one here because we want to start with one to kind of give you an idea of what you can make from a doctor. But to be honest, one person could not really handle probably more than 5. Right. I tell people a handful. That's a good round. Look at your hand. That's 5, right? So if you want to put 5 in there, you're welcome to do that. But beyond that, then you're going to probably need somebody else to help you with the billing. So just kind of a caveat there. That's good.
Yeah, thank you. Folks, we all know when we go to the doctor, It seems like whenever we show up there, there's 20 patients in that waiting room anyway. We're talking about 20 patients per day. So let's just say 10 in the morning, 10 in the afternoon. So we're going to put 20 patients in there. The average number of days the office is open, and normally, again, they're open 5 days a week. Now, here's where a lot of people, again, do ask, Patrick, well, what should I charge the doctor? Folks, you're going to be charging the doctor based on a percentage of what is collected. So we kind of shoot the gap there, because it could be anywhere from 5% and it could be as high as 8 or 9. So again, we kind of stay on the lower side. So we're going to just say 6%. And then once you've got that in there, you can see that the average claim amount is right about $100. So you're going to see how and why we use these numbers here in just a second here. So all you've got to do is at that point, get all that filled in, and then come right there and just click on Submit. And when you click on Submit, you'll see here real quickly that it'll calculate one doctor serving those 20 patients a day is going to average you about $31,000 a year, or about $2,600 monthly. Okay, so now you're going to go, well, how did you get there? Patrick, before I get to how that kind of gets broken down, you want to say anything else about these numbers here?
Yeah, let me put it this way, folks. These numbers that we are giving you here are numbers that are standard in the industry. I mean, $100 per claim, 6%, that's all really standard out there. So even though we're giving you some figures here, nobody can guarantee your income for any business. If somebody's promising you that you can make a certain amount of money in a business, they're just making stuff up, right? This is why we let you drop the numbers in that you think fits your particular situation. But yeah, let's see how why we used these numbers, and maybe it'll make it even clearer here for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so we're going to take one doctor right here. So again, we're going to say one doctor is going to see 20 patients a day. Again, what you got to be thinking of is this way. So really think as a business person here. Think about, what is each of these visits valued? Each of these visits that the doctor does is valued at $100. So obviously, $100 times 20 patient visits is about $2,000 a day. So if you think about it, any doctor, if they're doing any good for themselves, they ought to be doing about $2,000 a day. That's about the lowest a doctor can even keep their practice open. It's about $2,000 a day.
Yeah,
now we're going to, go ahead.
Yeah, Eric, there's a lot of hidden costs for doctors. That sounds like a lot of money to people, but folks, he doesn't net that. That's not what he takes home.
No.
But there's with personnel, lease on equipment. You've got the lease on the building, unless he owns it. And it just goes on and on. So there's a lot of overhead. The doctor may only net $500 out of that per day.
Yeah, at the end of the day. But $2,000 is kind of their break even, just to keep their doors open on a monthly basis. So we're going to take that $2,000 a day times our 6%. Well, your average earnings, again, are going to run you about yours. Average is about $120 a day. So not too bad for what we consider to be some type of part-time work, Patrick. I mean, so what is it going to take you to make $120 a day? Well, Patrick, we've kind of averaged it out and really stretching it out to 90 minutes or an hour and a half a day. That's really what it's going to take you to do billing for one doctor. So, I don't know how many people are making, even if they got it down to an hour, $120 an hour is what you're looking at there. But, that's not too bad and not too shabby to do what we talked about.
Well, Eric,
if you
break that down into 20 claims, even if they're putting in all of the information for each patient every time, that's not going to take them, but for about 5 minutes. So 5 times 20 is only 100 minutes. So there's where we come up with that, an hour and a half for that, folks.
Yeah.
But the nice thing is, once that patient comes back for a second visit, you're not having to put all that information in about the insurance company and the patient. It's all in there. All you're doing is entering the codes and the dates for the new visit, and that literally could take you, 15 seconds.
Yeah, absolutely. Now let's just again show you what your average earnings are going to be. Remember, Karen, you'd asked a minute ago, how quickly could I get a return on my investment, or that kind of that break even? So remember, our investment here, your investment here with us is $25,024,990. Again, you're making $120 a day times 5 days a week, $600 a week times 52 weeks. There's your $31,200 per year per doctor. So again, going back to our screenshot that we had earlier, that's how you get the $31,200 per year, or an average income of about monthly income of $2,600 a month.
Yeah, Eric, Karen also has a follow-up question there. She says, how is the amount of the claim determined? You know, we talked about $100 per claim. This is a great question because, Karen, that's not necessarily what you billed for. That's what the insurance company has paid the doctor. An average visit to a doctor nowadays is $150. So we're taking, again, a very conservative amount there and saying if the doctor only gets $100 out of that $150 that he bills for, then he and you are still making a fairly decent income.
Yeah, and Karen, you bring in a great point there because obviously there is, like Patrick said, there's what's called the charge amount and then what's called actually the reimbursed amount. And if it's $150, that doctor may get $100 back in reimbursements, and then from there, you know, everybody has a copay, usually about $25. So part of that $100 is from that $25, and so the insurance company will probably pay the difference of that $75. So that's why we kind of like to stay right around that $100 mark, because we really are trying to keep it as close to what the actual reimbursement amount to that doctor is. So folks, this is pretty close to what you're going to be looking at as a return on a monthly processing of claims. That's about as close as we can get it to show you. And then from there, folks, if you want to do 2 doctors, just duplicate the number. You know, that'd be just a little over $62,000 a year with 2 doctors, Patrick. And if we kind of think about how long that would take, that may be a 3. Even if you had a kind of a complicated doctor, it may be take as high as 4 hours there.
Well, this is why a lot of our licensees, Eric, as you've heard from them on their testimonials when I interview them, they will tell us that I was working, you know, a 50, 60-hour week for some corporation, and when I started this business, I had to put in, you know, about that many hours to get it up and running. But once I got my first, you know, handful of clients, now I've got it down to where I'm, you know, putting in half of that time and still making more money than I was at my regular job.
Yeah, absolutely. That's very much a potential. So hopefully we've been able to kind of break that down as best as we can here. Patrick, we got about 15 more minutes here, so let's talk real quickly about what makes it all happen. I think this is the best way to be able to look at this. And Bashar, since again, I'm going to talk directly to you because you asked some things about IT. So I think this might help explain how everything's working together. Patrick, you also mentioned earlier something about a clearinghouse. So this is a good opportunity for you to kind of talk about, you know, how everything's working together.
Yeah, so what we haven't had time to go into today, folks, is in the upper left-hand corner, you see the illustration there of the patient. We have a patient portal that the doctor's office and you can give the patient access to, that the patient can log in on their own, update all their information there, and put in, you know, when they want their next appointment, their prescription history is there, all of their medical history is online in our system. But we start there because the patient can actually fill out a form there to kind of register for the doctor's office. That goes into our system, our EMRX, our electronic medical record system, that the doctor is then using when they interact with the patient and have the encounter with the patient. That information is going into our iClaim system that you see in the middle there, which is what you on the back end are using to check the claims and format those and send them to our clearinghouse. That's built into our system, not a third party as it is with all other systems. Ours is the only system we know of that has the built-in clearinghouse. And so basically when you send a claim through our system, it goes straight to the insurance companies because it's already been cleared by our clearinghouse. those insurance companies, of course, will pay the doctor, and then, of course, you bill the doctor for the amount of money that he owes you. So it's all transparent because you can give a doctor a login to our system where they can go in and actually see the real-time status of their claims 24/7.
Yeah, and since it's a cloud-based system, again, all the updates, and again, I'll kind of go back through all of this. You know, the patient portal, all that information gets updated, as well as any information that has to deal with the EMR, as of any information that has to do with iClaim or the clearinghouse. So it's completely integrated, and there's no separation. So we're not having to deal with 3 or 4 companies. We're dealing with one system altogether that will help the doctor get paid. And Patrick, what's so good about this is that we can literally reduce the amount of time that it takes the doctor to get paid. And, you know, sometimes it can average anywhere from 30 and as high as 60 days. You know, right now we're looking at 7 to 10 days in getting the doctors paid through this system.
Yeah, so Bashar has asked the question, what would compete with ABS when I am out selling this product? What alternatives do doctors have other than the paper-based systems or our system? Well, Bashar, actually, there are other software programs, probably dozens of them out there, that the doctor could purchase and use inside of his own office. We do have comparison charts that we can show you. Just ask your ABS the business development coach that you've been talking to and getting the emails from to give you that comparison chart. But it boils down to this, Bashar. Our licensees don't really have any competition out there. There is nothing like this. You can't find anything anywhere close, having everything built in to one system like you see illustrated here.
Yeah, and Bashar, the thing that makes it different is what I just circled right there. No other billing system has their own clearinghouse.
Right.
And again, everybody, let that sink in, because everybody wonders, how can I get a doctor to listen to me? I've never done billing in my life. I'm just now getting involved in this business. Why would a doctor even want to look at me, talk with me, even consider me to doing their billing? Folks, when we can demonstrate to the doctor how the system works, what's the differentiator, why it makes the difference here, and it all draws back to the clearinghouse. Again, folks, there is, Patrick's right, there gets to be no competition out there, and it's because of how the system is there. Then that's just the one part of it. Patrick, now we're going to show just a couple of features here. Patrick, you there? Uh-oh, did we lose Patrick? Oh, there you are.
Sorry, I'm muted. Yes, I love this, Eric, because when the doctor is actually seeing a patient, they can pull up on their screen a drawing of the part of the body that they want to talk to or make notes about in the system, and they literally can use their fingertip to draw, just like you're drawing right there with the little arrow. So you draw with a mouse or a PC right on the iPad. Again, the doctors absolutely love this. You can even import a picture of the patient's own sore or broken arm or whatever you want to store it in the system.
Yep,
so
absolutely.
A built-in library, yeah. And then Eric, prescribing. Yeah, this is, to me, well, a lot of doctors can do this already, but built into our system, of course, it goes out and checks to make sure that this patient hasn't gotten that same medication from another doctor, or that it's going to be interacting with another medication. It's all kept in the system and double checked. So before the patient can leave the doctor's office, that prescription can be waiting for them at their pharmacy.
And here's what's the cool thing. I've just circled it right here. You know, we all know when we go to the doctor, they ask us what medicines are we on. How about when the patient gives the consent to request medication history, that doctor just has to click that, and then all of their medications show up right down there.
Yeah, so the patient has gone into that patient portal that we showed you on a previous slide, where they actually can click a button there that gives the permission, and then when the doctor sees this on the screen, he goes, oh, okay, then I can just tap that RX history there, and boom, it shows up right there in the system. Pretty cool stuff. Yeah. Eric, let's move on. The mobile e-prescribing, of course, the doctor can actually do this on his cell phone. So if the emergency number, calls the doctor and says, this patient just called in and said they have to have some medication. The doctor just goes on his cell phone in our system and can prescribe that and send it to the pharmacy right from his phone while he's on the golf course.
And I know we talked about the awards and certifications here, and so folks, again, we've already got this as Patrick's got this as a handout for you. So if you go through that slide, you can go see that, Medical Economics has voted this one of the best EHRs. APMA, that's the American Podiatric Medicines of America. All these different ones that have everything to do with awards and certifications, you can go check us out there. And it's the only system that does insurance verification that's actually built in, and this is the coolest thing about the system. Patrick, you want to kind of take this one, and I'll kind of help through and explain what this whole insurance verification and eligibility check is?
Right. Before a doctor can get paid from an insurance company, they have to make sure that the insurance company has okayed, and basically it's called insurance verification, also known as an eligibility check. So the way that's normally done, of course, is you've got a bunch of people on the phone dealing with the insurance companies in the doctor's office. And folks, we don't have to do that because it's built into our system, as Eric is about to show you here with a click of a button. First, Eric, let's show that quote from the Fierce Practice Management online magazine. Yeah. Now, guys, this was basically, it says the ACA burdens mount for practices. Lots of stuff. It says they spend hours every day verifying the coverage. That's not necessary with our system because it does it in real time directly from the insurance company's database. Look at this quote here. Eric, read that from that article.
Yeah, it says, we've had a splattering of new patients in January, maybe once a week. I think we're averaging 2 to 3 a day now. And so it's a little small rheumatology practice in the Wichita Falls, Texas area. And it says this, out of each of these patients, office staffers spend at least an hour on hold with insurance companies to verify that the patient's coverage is effective and the premium is paid.
Right. Hey, that's the problem, Eric. That's the problem right now, as you know, with people who have said that they signed up with Obamacare or the Affordable Care Act. They may say that they signed up for it, but have they paid premiums? and so this double checks all that behind the scenes to make sure the doctor is not spending time with patients that he's never going to get paid for.
So in our system, folks, and again, know that because the reason we're able to do this is because we have the clearinghouse integrated, built into the system. It's not some other outside company. We can do this eligibility request strictly right inside of our system. And not only can we check the insurance eligibility, we can create an entire patient chart. So, folks, again, we're going to show you how you can see that here in just a moment live with your business coach, but let me just kind of show this to you real quickly. You would click this eligibility request. Once you get there, it comes up with this screen, and here we're going to look up an Aetna. We fill out all the information that we need to, and we do lookup. At this point, you can see that we get this information. We get it back from Aetna. We see the most important part of it right there is that they're active. But what you can't see on the screen, that we kind of had to blow it up so that you could see it, but right over there in that button right there that you can't see off the screen, we can create an entire patient chart filling in all of the information of this patient directly into our system. So now that when we have that patient, we can add that patient directly into any of the schedules that might need to be for that particular doctor. And if you're seeing what you're seeing on the screen now, the system is actively checking insurance availability, eligibility directly online through the calendar system. So every time that you see a green dot there, remember, in our world, green means cash. This means the doctor's not getting paid. So you can see it. We can see whether they're active, inactive, not found, or not requested. That's direct, immediate feedback in and through the calendar system. Patrick, literally, there is no other system that does this.
No, and to think that this is done in real time, folks, as it's happening. So it's just incredible.